going on, everyone? Today we're going to find out, what is your e-bike really valued, and is it actually on AliExpress or made in China? For example, if we're checking AliExpress, it's going to be for kits, batteries, things like that. If we head over to the computer right now, you'll be able to see that this is probably one of the most common bikes we tend to find working in the gig economy, i.e. it could look a bit different at times, but I think this is the plain breakdown that they're offering you, and this is the price. Now, here it is. Was it $450? I believe it was. $450. That's £335 per bike, and that's if you buy them in 50. Which, it's a bit crazy really to think about. And this is a common thing that you'll find for bike companies within the UK right now, that they'll buy bikes already built and rebrand them, and sometimes it tends to be the cheapest e-bike on the market, which isn't the best e-bike to have. For example, this is another one, and you will see these pop up in near enough every style you could think of. Same again, another bike, and I'm pretty sure this is a replica of probably one of the biggest Dutch brands that there is for an e-bike. And how that happens is that companies will go to another company, like, look here, we all know what this is a replica of, right? We've all seen these riding around. Yeah. Same again, this one and up here is the same as this bike. So that's 3 bikes near enough in the same place, exactly the same thing. Now look at this. This is well overpriced for what it is. That's crazy. And I don't like Bafang mid-drives, if I'm being honest with you. And I've noticed a few other riders aren't really into them. But like I was saying previously before, or what I was about to say, is that bikes like this, what a company would do is they will source the frame. And more than likely it's one factory in China that's making the frame. They'll ship them out to everyone else that will then add on motors, brakes, front shocks, seats, batteries, the full works. But with that being said, sometimes companies will opt in for the cheaper option, and they will provide you whatever they feel like. Now, if we head over to this little documentary right here, we're going to watch this together. You can get these approved, but at the same time, you're going to need a technician that is capable of doing the whole system to make sure that the motor is letting out the correct watts, that your controller is set up correctly, your e-brakes are high standard, you have indicators, which if you notice here, it comes with indicators on the front and the back, and it also still has pedals. So they're very specific on what they do. But I think these are probably some of the most dangerous bikes on the market, and especially this one. And with that being said, it's because of we've witnessed it many times. I myself have ridden this bike, but if you notice, this is exactly the same thing. The only difference is they choose a different fork, controller, display, battery, the full works. Now this person here was quite unlucky because their battery seems like it was a bad battery, or they've used it that much that it's ended up damaged like this. I don't know why I'm waving my hand and pointing at the screen. So yeah, now when it comes to kits, right, if you look here, you would notice this is probably one of the most common kits you'll find on Amazon. And a reason that companies like this were restricted from having third-party sellers sell whatever they want is because it's dangerous. This is the result. Okay? Now, I think that this here alone is underpriced. Now this person here has picked the price up and then dropped the price because they want you to buy it and think that it's cheap. But the thing is, it's not market regulated. It's not tested. So this is a battery that you could be taking home, leaving inside your house, and it causes a big fire. Now let's head back to this documentary.
Have been taken away.
This is quite important.
It's the same place again, guys. Your bikes aren't safe and you can't find them. Wow, what a bumper harvest this year. 3 big trucks packed to the brim.
Starting from December 1st, the new national standard for electric bicycles, said to be the strictest ever, will be implemented. In order to force people to buy electric bicycles that meet the new standards, local traffic.
Now, before we continue, I think you will have to understand something. What you're seeing here, as in England, we classify an e-bike to be pedals, 250 watts, 15.5. It's a different category in China. So this moped in front of you is classified as an e-bike. It doesn't need insurance. It doesn't need tax. It, I don't think there's much of a speed limit neither behind them. So as you can see, there is a lot of these bikes, and well, what we're discovering is that a lot of them are being sold here in England as well across the world. But the problem there is that no one doesn't actually know what products are safe. For example, look at these three here on my screen, right? They're all the same bike in three different styles. Now it's whichever one you feel more comfortable with. This is one piece. Look at the price, from $78 to $80. That there alone should say to you that something's not right. For the simple fact of, why is it so cheap? The frame alone in aluminium should have a price range around that. It doesn't add up. Over here it's 50 units for 110 to 114. Now I could really believe that this one's real. As much as this is on here, and it seems to have, okay, it's a different seller, yeah. But they haven't sold nothing, neither has this person. Same again, it's the same bike, apart from this one's set up for a delivery driver. And the price is a bit more believable. But me personally, this is somewhere I would never purchase a bike from. I'll be honest with you. And the thing is that if you are someone that's purchased one of these bikes from someone in the UK, like previously in the past, we've seen companies come and they're offering this high grade bike with all these great services. 2 years down the line, the company doesn't exist no more. They're gone. And now you're left with a bike that A, you can't get no help with. B, you're having more than likely a few issues, and you've paid around $4,000 for this bike. So, you know, no matter where you buy a bike from, it's always important to check out the company first. And yo, this isn't a promo. Engwe gives me bikes for a review, and I never lie about my review. How I feel about the bike is how I pick the video out. With that being said, they're a brand that's worldwide, and that's important because that means their materials are quality. It means that people have realized that this is a brand that I can ride with and know that's safe to have in my house. For example, being with their bikes and their frames, I don't know how they get their components and all the rest of it together, but their team and their technicians put a lot of time into reviewing their motors, their batteries. Every little bit of it is inspected, and that's how it gets the correct grading and marking. Now, for example, if you was to come over here and you buy this bike and it's got all the correct grading and marking on it, but at times the bike might have some issues, the battery's playing up, well, that's a sign that it's cheaper materials and that whoever sold you this bike was on a quick hustle, basically. They didn't think about, in the long run, you coming back for another bike, or you might say to a friend, hey, look, this is a really good bike. They just want to sell it, you know? And that's where it comes back to a factory that has access to multiple other factories and can source in all the components, etc. like that. See, for example, where's that bike? This bike here, right? Obviously, it does look different from what we would see for the standard version. But the reason for that is because, for example, look at the forks, right? Now, if anyone doesn't realize, I'm talking about the bike where it has the two batteries, no battery under the seat, and it has a front motor and a back motor, and the shocks are actually the opposite way around, I'm pretty sure of it. And it's like a 3-4 grand bike, and it comes within the box with a TV on the box. Okay, this is a replica of it. Now, more than likely, the company that makes the frame for them has realized this is an opportunity for us to sell some other bikes. What we'll do is we'll change the frame a little bit, rebrand it, and ship it out to other people. Now, the price on this, look at this. This is crazy. $635. What is that equivalent into pounds? And bear in mind, you've got to buy a minimum of 10. 635 was it? £473. Forget the 5p, right? That's what your bike is really valued at. Now, that's the whole point of this, is to understand what the value of your bike is. And are you actually being scammed by a company that you feel like you can trust, when really you probably shouldn't be putting no trust into them at all. And that's the truth. And this is the same thing as the bike I'm showing you previously before. All they've done is change the style of the frame, knowing that it's something that people like, it will more than likely sell. Bear in mind, $610, there's not much of a difference in the actual price, and I don't believe this is real. Because, right, let me go back to the main page where we're getting these bikes from. Notice something, it would tell you how many bikes have sold on a product. It actually gives you the information of how many bikes are selling. Now this looks exactly like the M20. That's crazy. So this person's rating's 4.4. And look how cheap the bikes are. And you can't buy these in singles. If you wanted to, they'll try and more than likely charge you the full price. But the issue here is that you don't know what the quality of the aluminium is, or any of it. It could be just more cheaper materials than what they're providing the real company with. So that's something to keep in mind. And the reason is because when you buy these cheap bikes, this is the result. So you want to be careful on what you do store in your house, how you do store it away. And more than likely, if you are riding with any of these components, they're dodgy. Because the whole purpose of this story here is that the government slaps a ban on dangerous e-bike batteries, which is sold on Amazon, linked to many other locations. Like, where is it? Here, Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, Made in China, and many other places that are like these websites. This is what a majority of the video is about today, because in China, if you notice here, all of these bikes, it's exactly the same bike, right, as this. Just the only thing is they change the outside look.
Traffic police have stepped up their crackdown. Since November alone, Guangdong has issued 430,000 fines and towed a total of 32,000 bikes. The scene of electric bikes piled up like a...
Did you hear that? The amount of fines and bikes that have been taken since November alone. November this year, by the way, right? We're literally in December. That's crazy to think about. And you have to imagine, right? If they're seizing all these bikes in China where they're being made, why? It comes back down to cheap components, dangerous parts, more than likely batteries that aren't market tested, etc. And that's how big the problem is, as you can see here.
The mountain in front of us is from the vehicle impound lot in Zhongshan, Guangdong. As you step inside, the first thing that hits you is the shocking sight of electric bikes stacked on top of each other, haphazardly squeezed together. These electric bikes once met the transportation needs of the people traveling through the streets and alleys of the city. Each bike was a piece of private property, but now they've just...
And more to the point, do you know what's a shame in this whole situation is the fact that the customer loses out. The customer doesn't gain anything from this because like they said, they're giving out fines, they're taking your bike, you're not getting it back. As we can blatantly see, there's fields and fields and fields of them. Now, here in England, they seem to destroy the bikes and get rid of as many as possible because we don't have spaces to store bikes like this, which it's really confusing. Let's watch a little more of this before we move on.
Discarded here without care.
Guys, let me show you something. I thought the bikes outside were the end of it, but there's even more inside. It's a vast sea of bikes. These scumbags.
On December 4th, a netizen in Fujian filmed a local traffic police checkpoint where electric bikes were being seized. He thought the bikes he saw outside were all of them, but when he went inside the yard, he found that there were even more bikes packed inside. What's even worse is that the CCP is putting pressure on...
Okay, you see this? Notice how they're selling the bikes. It's the same thing with these websites. It's the same people that are building the bikes in China and selling them are selling it to you on the website. And this is where the issue lies, because, for example, if it's now one of these big brand companies and they're saying, hey, look, for example, I found a bike on here which I'm not going to show to you all, because previously in the past I've worked with the company and they told me this is their bike, they've built it up from scratch, all the rest of it. Okay, cool. They might be capable of customing the bike for customers, right? Customizing, sorry. But in the long run, it's just the same thing, right? Cheap components, dodgy batteries, and where does that end up? It ends up with the whole situation being like this, right? Where the bike's on fire, someone's in danger, and like we previously spoke about before, it's close to 200 fires or more now from just e-bikes and electric scooters, and all of that stems from right here.
On both businesses and the public. On one hand, they've ramped up inspections and fines for electric bike dealers, and on the other, they've been seizing people's private property in an aggressive manner.
Now, you see, I understand as someone myself that's an e-bike rider that this can be very, very frustrating. I would not like to have my own bike taken away. But I think that what we have to realise is not to be angry at the police, because they're not the ones that sold us the bike. They're just enforcing the law and making sure that people around you are going to be safe in the long run. Which I can kind of understand, because I wouldn't want to see anyone's home go up in flames from an e-bike or things like that, you know, train station, etc. Places that we've already seen bikes going up in flames, including in public. This is the result, and it's not a good thing. It's, in general, where does it leave us as a consumer that purchased these bikes? And it's being aware of where you do purchase your bike, because as we can see, look at the value of some of these bikes. They're a third of the price that they're being sold to us at, with the same components and same batteries. Because let me be honest, if I was going to build a bike and I'm being offered everything in one, why am I going to go and source it down and rebuild it? I might do that further down the line, but as it's here, and as we're seeing, a majority of people provide us with the dangerous option. You know, it's crazy. This would be fun to own, I'm not going to lie. Could you imagine it? Flying around doing deliveries. And it's even more dangerous that these are titled as a Suron, and they can sell for $3,000 up brand new. Once you start kitting it out, etc., it goes up more in price. But as we can see, the bike does look a bit different, as where the battery goes and all the rest of it. So yeah, this would definitely be one of your dangerous options. It does look cool, but for some reason the battery being there, I just don't feel like it's safe. Imagine that hits something. But until the next video, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon.